Hello, and welcome to the Stepping Out of Stuck podcast. I'm your host, Bonnie Brindle, the Anxiety Avenger.
And I'm Ted Simmons, the superhero of shyness.
Together, we,
Help you to get unstuck.
so let's get after it. Ted, I have a question for you.
Hmm.
I was thinking yesterday, when does thinking become overthinking? Does that ever happen
Oh,
to you?
oh my gosh, all the time, right? One of the things about just being anxious, shy or anxious, is that I always am like questioning myself about everything, right? Um, and I was gonna say that like the story I was probably gonna share was probably the time I was going through and doing a project. And, you know, when you get into a project, you're like, you come up with all the options and everything that you can do. But what you forget is that you need to incorporate everyone else. And so I'm I'm like going a mile a minute, going through and adding everything together and planning out and doing everything like that. And I get stuck in like what are the capabilities of this other person? Where can I incorporate them? Because I don't know enough about them, right? So I come up with a million different scenarios to of what they can do to help me out or help out the project really. And we just get stuck in that, right? It just was like, where do I go from here? I mean, have you ever experienced that?
Well, yeah, so that sounds like you're talking about something maybe at work when you're having a team working on a project.
Yeah.
And yeah, and I've been on the other end of that too, having somebody try to over control, like I could feel like a person leading the team on a certain project would feel like they had to take care of everything. And I would be sitting there thinking, you don't have to do that for me. I can do my part. I know what my part is. I have expertise too. And if I have a question, we'll come back to it and saw that I'm thinking of a particular supervisor that I had a couple of years ago in
Hmm.
a work situation, and I felt like saying, "You can just let that go. Do your part. Let
Right.
us figure out what we have to do, and it'll be so much better than you trying to control all of it or kind of like set all of it up." Because that's exhausting, isn't it? Did you find that exhausting?
Oh my gosh. You get to a point where you just can't do anything, right? Because it just stops you.
Oh yeah. Yes. Yes. Yes, and I will say that I've been on both ends of that. And actually, it happened to me yesterday.
Oh yeah?
Yes, so when we were going to meet about upcoming episodes,
Hmm.
and I took a shower before we got ready, and I'm in the shower, and I thought, okay, episode two. I'm all relaxed. I'm by myself. I'm thinking it through, and I'm imagining how I was going to open it and how we were going to talk about a couple of different things, and it went really smoothly. And yeah, great. I got out of the shower. Perfect. Then I sat down in front of the computer and said, well, got that figured out. So I'm going to sit down and plan some ideas, just get some, brain dump ideas down for the next few episodes.
Hmm.
I started that, and then I went down the rabbit hole of overthinking because I do that too. I started trying to plan too many ideas and then tried to come up with not only the sort of outline of what it was going to look like, but the direction we would take it, instead of remembering
Hmm.
that if I just come up with an idea and I bounce it off of you, and then we let that flow more naturally, it's going to be so much better. So I got stuck in the swirl in my head, the document in front of me that had a bunch of stuff I didn't like on it. And I thought, oh God, I'm starting to get tired. So when I get stuck like that in overthinking, I put it away. I wash my hands of it for a little bit. I
Hmm.
get up. I often go outside and go for a walk and move my body. Because as soon as
Hmm.
I start moving, then I feel unstuck in my head if I move my body a bit. But yeah, so there I was in the shower, having a conversation with you on an episode that went great. And then I went straight into overthinking, over planning, and I had to shut
Hmm.
myself down and come back to it. So yeah, as a person who's dealt with anxiety, I have been a professional overthinker. You too?
I, yeah, I think we all do. I just that brought up so many things in my life. Like just um, we end up, in myself, I end up overthinking like, um, how am I going to go through and pay out this bill? How am I going to go through and do this particular task, right? And you end up overthinking it so much that it, like you said, you have to walk away from it, um, and sometimes leave it undone, so that then you can regather yourself and start it over again, right?
Yeah. So I have a question then. When you come back
Hmm.
to something like that,
Hmm.
do you feel more refreshed or like have a different perspective or feel like it's more tackleable? Like, does it help you to just step away from it?
Yeah, in my mind it does. But there's also that element, and I'm sure you've felt this too, of, oh my gosh, I got to get this done. You know, oh my gosh, I got to get this, got to finish this. And then your head just goes even into a more of a wild whirl. I guess I would say a loop, I
Mhm.
would often call it.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. That pressure
Yeah.
to get something done. So I think for me, the pressure of a lot of things to get done in a certain amount of time will trigger the overthinking, right? Will get me into a place where
Yes.
I'm a little bit jacked up about it. I'm a little bit anxious about managing all of it and getting things done in order and on time and in the way they need
Hmm.
to be. Yeah, so that'll kind of get me jacked up into overthinking in the first place.
Right.
But it is still always, for me, the solution is to walk away from it. And often when I do,
Hmm.
and my mind is somewhere else, and especially if
Hmm.
I go out and move my body, it calms me down. As I said, it allows sort of the idea or the way to finish something or the next step will sort of come to me rather
Hmm.
than my trying to force it. Like, what's the next step? Got to do this. Blah, 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 blah. If I don't know what the next step is and I go do something else that takes my body and my mind out of that overthinking space, often what I needed to know or do will come to me,
Hmm.
right? It'll
Hmm.
just, oh yeah. So when I come back to that thing that I walked away from, then I know how to approach it better. It's not even like I'm figuring out how to approach it. It just sort of flows better. Oh, this is what
Hmm.
I need to do. But always I let myself out of it. Have you ever been in that overthinking place where you're grinding on something and you didn't step away and you kept grinding and
Oh
just
yeah, it just leaves you exhausted.
exhausted
It's
and the thing doesn't
Yeah.
get done well or done at all,
Right. Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So you've wasted time, right?
Right.
Spinning around. You've worn yourself out.
Hmm.
Yeah.
The So you had me think about that, and I was thinking about, in my book and in my writings and everything. I realized that sometimes we have this rule that we've created for ourselves that actually creates this.
Hmm.
And I was thinking about what was my rule and what was the thing that makes me feel that I need to do this.
Uh,
And it all harkens back to, shy rules of protection, right? How do I protect myself in some form or fashion?
mm,
And in my thought, I think it was something about just going through doing something perfect protected me,
yes.
because
What we thought
then,
was perfect.
right, because then I'm not having to, I know that it's perfect, and then I know that they're not going to have anything to quibble about or do anything about, right? So I think that's the main driver behind this. for
Uh-huh.
me, is that perfection, is that need of having something that is controlled, right?
Right. Yeah. And perfectionism is something we need to go into deeper in another episode for sure.
Mm, yeah,
'Cause that's a
definitely.
big subject for shy and for anxious people.
Yeah. Do you feel that that's the same thing for you, or do you have a different rule that you think drives you, or?
It's a little different than that. And
Okay.
um, yeah, I'll say I will save my perfection explosion moment for the
Uh-huh.
episode on perfection because I have one. When I went from perfectionism is my game to
Mm-hmm.
I can't do that anymore. I need to let it go now. That's actually an event that happened in my life that changed that. But going back to what you said about it, like if
Mm-hmm.
you create something perfectly, then nobody can poke holes in it. Nobody can quibble about it. Nobody can
Mm-hmm.
question you. Nobody can point a finger at you, right?
Mm-hmm.
They also don't have the option to discuss it with you, to
Yes.
play with ideas,
Yes.
to be open to a different angle, to
Mm-hmm.
build together as a team,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I know this has happened to you, and it's definitely happened to me with the insecure supervisor in a
Mm-hmm.
situation who has to get this thing just right before it's disseminated to everyone
Oh
and
yeah.
just feels like you've been smacked in the face, right?
Mm-hmm.
With something. It's like, but wait, I had another idea about that. Or, hey, what if we added this? Or we didn't bother to do that because it's not really necessary. Like, right, not
Right.
getting the team, that whole, the ideas of all the people that are part of the team or organization is
Mm-hmm.
so valuable.
Mm-hmm.
When you're under a time constraint, a project has to happen. You feel, if you come across as not interested in what other people think or want to
Right.
add, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that sets up that I don't like that supervisor person and
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel respected and all of that.
Yeah.
All you're trying to do is make the thing work, right?
Right. Yeah.
You gotta
So
make it
so
work.
like you, it sounds like when I get stressed, I definitely go into that control type thing where you're going through and you're getting as much control of something as you can,
Mm,
and you basically, like you said, seem to shut down from everyone else because you're not sharing, you're not incorporating, you're not doing that kind of thing. And so I have to watch myself and make sure I don't do that.
yeah, that is an issue of leadership
Hmm.
that I think a lot of people in any kind of leadership position struggle with. Uh,
Right.
yeah, I remember
And
struggling with that too earlier in
yeah.
life. As an instructional coach in a public education situation,
Hmm.
I really had an opportunity, and this was just a few years ago, to wholly step into that with here's what I see we're doing well. I want to know what you all think we're doing well, how we
Hmm.
can do more of that, and look at where we can improve together. Which for
Nice.
me, as an employee of other situations in the past, never really happened to me.
Hmm.
Nobody that was in a supervisory position ever really came to that. It was more like, this isn't, is where it's not working. This is what we need to do. Right. So instead of,
Hmm.
here's what's working great. How can we do more of this? Let's
Hmm.
figure out together what the next steps are in that education space changed the vibration of that organization completely. So I know that letting go of that kind of intensity, that need for control, that fear
Hmm.
is incredibly impactful and improves things a lot. But I've had the opportunity to play with that and yeah, it was
Nice.
pretty wonderful. Yeah.
Yeah.
So when we think of what we want to help our listener with right now, because
Hmm.
if anyone's listening who's dealing with some anxiety or dealing with shyness, we know you're an overthinker too, right? We know
Yes.
it.
Yes.
So, what's your best advice for someone who is on that project? Maybe whether they're in leadership and they feel like they need to get it all together for everybody else's sake, or even just on their own and they're putting it out to be shared with maybe someone who's a superior.
Hmm.
How do you think we can help we can help listener to stop the overthinking and get back to thinking. What's something you do?
Well, I think we've alluded to it a little bit here, but one of the things that really helped me out was going through and finding out what that hidden rule was for myself.
Hmm.
For me, it was perfectionism. If I'm perfect, then I don't have to worry about um, you know I don't have to worry about people commenting on it, right?
Okay.
And for you, it was
Well, being anxious in the general idea was me was always preventing a panic attack, right?
right.
So it's
Okay.
been a while since I've really dealt with panic attacks on that level,
Hmm.
but then it still gets back to not letting myself get sucked into the vortex, someone else's
Hmm.
vortex.
Right.
Isn't, really seeing like where someone else is trying to pull me into their need for
Right.
perfectionism,
Right. Right.
their need for control. I look for that. And when that happens, sometimes I just back off. I just,
Hmm.
you know, anxiety tells me that that's a trap that they're in, but I don't want to join them in.
Yeah. See, so both of those are different drivers
Hmm.
for doing the same thing, right? So
Right.
it's finding that particular hidden rule or that driver for that.
Right. Hmm.
And then what I always find is that if we flip that, you know, obviously we're doing this all the time, right? We already have these mechanisms within ourselves to protect ourselves.
Hmm.
Um, in flipping that around and using it for positive purposes, um, how would you particularly flip that around and use it for maybe as a superpower, as a positive influence?
Well, going back to reminding myself if it's overthinking to step back, step out, and come back to it later.
Hmm.
And then also working with other people. If someone asked me a question or wanted me to contribute to something, I would often say, let me think about that and get
Hmm.
back to you, rather than try on the fly to pull my brain, which is whoop, all over the place, into something that's going to make sense. Because
Hmm.
it may not always come out the way that I would intend it.
Hmm.
So, yeah, so when working with someone else, I will often say, lay it all out for me. Here's what all the things, here's what we're looking at. Let me go off and think about this, and I'll come back with an answer for you and
Oh,
not try to
interesting.
answer on the fly.
Okay.
Yeah.
I I started realizing to get out of my rule of perfectionism and everything like that, that if I incorporated that I actively needed to figure out how to incorporate other people into my decisions
Hmm.
or into the group, right? And it's not my decisions anymore, it's the group decisions, right?
Yeah.
That basically, by taking it out of just my hands and incorporating in other people,
Hmm.
it became, you know, it's never about my perfection. It's about how to work with other people.
Right. Right.
And that became, because I could think of all the things that here I am doing crazy movement. I got crazy in thinking that I had to do everything, right? But when we go through and we realize that other people have skills
Yes.
and that other people have abilities and other things like that, we can bring those in and we don't have to do those pieces. We
Exactly.
can let them do those pieces and just be grateful and accepting that they're doing it.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
every person in a group that works with a leader who struggles with perfection
Mhm.
knows that the leader's struggling with perfection.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You would think, oh, I've got this all together. I'm going to have everybody
Hmm.
knows what you're doing.
Hmm. Yeah,
Right? So
exactly.
when you can open yourself and relax and allow, allowing is such a lovely word,
Hmm.
allow other people to make more of a connection and contribution, that's always a better place to be and a more
Right.
relaxed place, and you're not exhausted as well,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
closing our idea about thinking versus overthinking,
Hmm.
a reminder, right? Again, if we feel like we're overthinking, we get into that spin, walk
Hmm.
away from what you're working on. Take some time to
Hmm.
take your head out of it and go up, move your body, drink some water, let yourself allow the ideas to come instead of trying to grind on them. And then
Hmm.
when you're in charge of something and you have other people that could be helpful, what do you do? Again, Ted.
You you know you've already been overthinking about what their skill levels are and stuff like that, right? Now is when you apply it. You go through and you know the best person for the job. You know who you would trust to do certain things. You need to you need to you need to stop taking full control, and you need to allow other people to be a part of the project.
Yeah.
And if you don't do that, then you're just basically you're stopping yourself from being the best.
Well put.
Yeah.
Well put. Yeah, thanks. So, listener, think about that when you are allowing yourself to be the best is when you're allowing other ideas, other perspectives, and you're not having to exhaust yourself trying to control everything and overthink. And when you get stuck in overthinking, as we do, walk away, come back,
Yeah.
allow your ideas to come to you rather than trying to force them and exhaust yourself. So we will look forward to seeing you all on episode 3, and thanks for being here.